Alright, so this video we're going to be talking about hard drive health and maintaining your hard drive. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is SMART, or Self-Monitoring Analysis and Report Technology, as I said, often referred to as SMART. Now, the tool that I have open on the screen in front of you is Crystal Disk Info, alright? And this is a software that actually monitors the smart attributes that the hard drive manufacturers have created for their hard drives. For that, the system can determine whether the hard drive is healthy or not. All right, that is the main thing here. Now, as you can see in Crystal Disk Info, I have 3 hard drives in my computer, so I have 3 different options at the top. I have my C drive, which health status is good. I have my D drive, which is good, and I have my E drive, which is good. All right. SMART is a monitoring system for your computer hard drives to detect and report on various indicators of reliability in the hopes of anticipating and predicting failures. That is the hope here. And this is why every hard drive manufacturer has slightly different ones. You can see my Samsung one, we've got a whole bunch. My Western Digital, we've got some. And then my OCZ, I've got actually the least. This is also an SSD, which is kind of interesting. These two also have temperatures related to them, so another piece of information that's being reported, where my OCZ, my SSD, does not, which is, again, kind of interesting to me. This is traditionally an interface between the BIOS on your computer and the storage device. So a lot of BIOSes, especially on newer computers, can actually check this before it boots, and that is hopefully when it's going to be catching that problem before it actually occurs. It's not a guarantee, but that's the hope. All right, we can obviously integrate this with the OS level. So here you can see I am gathering all of that data. We can see all the different attributes that are being put in. So that is kind of nice. So what I found actually interesting was, if you notice, this one says 79% here, and this one just says good. All right, why is that? Well, SSDs do have in theory, write capacity. The more you write to them, the worse they're going to be, the more damage you're doing to those cells. So according to this, my remaining life, which actually look, it's E9, is 79%. So I have 79% of the lifetime of this drive left still, which is pretty impressive because I've been running this thing for years at this point. Now, to be fair, this hard drive did actually fail on me in warranty, so I did get a new hard drive sent out to me, which was kind of nice. But I did lose all of the data on that. So that is also why it's important, again, to have your your backup, to have an external backup or an internal, if you have an extra hard drive like I do. Back all your data up. All right. In an ideal world, you'd be running like a RAID 1 where you have a 1-for-1 backup where everything on drive A also gets copied to drive B. So no matter what happens, you're safe. All right. In the actual world, very few people set that type of thing up. All right. Because, man, I don't want to buy 2 terabytes of hard drive and only have 1 terabyte of accessible to myself. Now, you want to have 2 terabytes or whatever it is that you bought. So very few people do end up using RAID 1. There are some other levels of RAID. I believe RAID 3 stripes across multiple with a parity drive, so that protects your data as long as you don't lose 2 hard drives at the exact same time, or you don't lose that second one trying to repair the first one, which is often the case. If one's going to fail, the second one might fail during the rebuild process. So that is a little something that you want to be a little bit careful on. Which some people suggest using different hard drive manufacturers or at least different age drives for all of them, so that way you're less likely to lose them all at once, which is kind of an interesting idea. But anyway, so we do have the smart technology. Next, we have the security and maintenance section. There we go. And we are looking obviously more at the maintenance here, and it does tell us our drive statuses at the bottom. I should open up. Where is it? Epic Pen. There we go. We do have, let's get the pen out, drive statuses listed right here. Can't draw for life on my screen, but that's okay. So in this case, it says my drive states are all okay. There are 5 different options there. We have healthy, self-healing, which is Windows detected something and it's going to fix it in the background. We have an error verification one where it's detected something and it doesn't think it can repair it, but it's still working on that process. There is scan required, which means that it has determined there is an issue and it's the spot verification protocol detected there was an issue. And then you also have a state where it's restart required, and you actually need to completely restart your computer. All right. Obviously, each of those has their own issues associated with it. Hopefully, you're always going to have a healthy or a self-healing. Now, I will say, let's go back to Crystal Disk. This 320 gig hard drive is back from 2007. And according to this, the healthy status is still good, which is kind of dumbfounding to me. I do have, or I used to have, another one of these 320 gig hard drives, exact same module, and that was starting to fail on me. Like, I could boot Windows. I don't think that was my main. No, still had the SSD at that point. So this was just a data drive where I was storing information. I could boot Windows and I could copy some information off of it, but it would constantly fail if I just tried to like back up the whole thing at once. So I actually had to do it folder by folder, which was kind of annoying. But, still survived in the long run. This one's still running strong, which is very interesting. This does show us power on hours. I think this one is lying. All right, because my D drive, which is a much newer one, has more hours on it supposedly. So not quite sure how the hours are determined, but those types of things. So this one should be much higher and if this thing is from 2007, that's 13 years old at this point. I have no way it's only turned on 932 times. I assume this is turned on at least once every other day over 13 years. So 6 years, 365 days in a year, should be 18,000 power on counts. But at the same point, I didn't often used to turn my computer off. So, a little bit give and take going on there. Where my SSD actually is reporting the highest. And again, that is not my oldest drive. So that one's kind of interesting. But anyway, so security maintenance does give us those options. Now, you also can look at them through here. We also have some issues, or some options in File Manager. If you go to this PC and you click on your drives, notice there is a new tab that appears at the top called Drive Tools. And this is showing you some different options. So we have BitLocker if you want to do anything with Microsoft's version of encryption, which, whether that's good or bad, is your own preference. Some people say it's great, it's built into Windows. Some people say, well, there could be backdoors in it that Windows could decrypt if they absolutely had to. So to each their own. But anyways, we have some optimization, some cleanup, and we can also do our formatting from here. So you'll notice that we have different options for different drives, but we'll come back to that one in another video. So next we want to talk about unnecessary files. All right, now is that this window? There we go. So here I have the usage of all of my hard drives, and this is just using storage usage. So if you just click Windows and type out storage usage on other drives, that's what I clicked on to get here. All right, so you can see my usage of all three drives, and this is showing you the percentage. So my C disk, I've used 202 gigs. My D, I've used 784. My E, 224. So it shows you all the different options, but you can actually dive down into these. So I can click on my C drive, and it's going to go through and calculate of that 220 or 202 gigs that I've used, where is it all being used? And boom, there we go. It's finally checked it all. Obviously, my music folder, that is a complete lie. Same with pictures, those horrible lies, but that's okay. To me, I kind of ignore all these really small ones. The mail is interesting. I'm assuming that's coming from Outlook, but documents, 1.21 gigs. To me, that's starting to be a category where I start looking into and going, well, do I need to delete things there? Especially in my documents. I don't really put much in my documents, so the fact that it's 1.2 gigs is actually very surprising to me. Your temporary, which is actually nice, you can click on that and it will give you go through all the temporary files that it's checked and qualifies as temporary. And it's saying, hey, you've got 5.6 gigs here. Here are the ones that we suggest you get rid of. So your cleanup, your log files, your thumbnails, other temporary files. So it's going, hey, we suggest get rid of all these, but you can also get rid of your downloads and your recycling bin. Windows Update is kind of interesting that it's keeping those older update installs even if you don't need them anymore, just in case probably have to go back in time or things like that. So, but that one's definitely something that you might want to get rid of and that you might not know is taking up almost 5 gigs of data, which is surprising to me. We're going to come back to play with that in a minute. And same with your apps and features. This is all the stuff you've installed. So very useful that you can actually look at that. So You can delete all your unnecessary files from here. You could come in, this obviously takes you to where you can uninstall programs or optional features, deleting your temporary files that you don't care about anymore, those types of things. So it is showing you a lot of, to me, interesting items. However, another possible tool there for you is disk cleanup. So we can go ahead and look at that, and it gives you the option of which drive we want to look at. So we can go ahead and say C. There we go, and boom, it's already done. Hey, come back. So here we can see our temporary internet, 2 megabytes. And again, it does check our downloads. It does check our recycling, which I find very nice. It is checking our temporary. All right. However, if you did notice, it is not showing us that data from the Windows Update cleanup, which you think would kind of be included in that. But, that is one of those things. Now, you can also actually access this via a command line. So if we open up a command line and we type clean manager / sage set :1, or I believe it's like 0, you can from 0 to like 6,000 or something. If you have that many profiles, I'm amazed. But anyway, oh, I have a funky symbol in front of this. And actually, I should exit out of disk cleanup. But anyway, if we run that command, it will open up disk cleanup for you. And you can tell it, these are the things that I always want you to delete. So you can go through and you can pick those options. And then if you were to run, come on, of course, didn't copy it. If you were to run this instead of sage set, you can do sage run. That will automatically just run disk cleanup and delete all those things for you. So here we go, we're deleting all those items. And now if I would just go back to disk cleanup, you'll notice, I'd have to go through and actually compare the two. Let's go ahead and run sage set again. Of course, can't run them both at the same time. But anyway, it did go through and it deleted some things. I didn't tell it to delete a lot. Let's go ahead and run sage set again. So basically, downloaded programs, temporary files, is all that's checked right now. Let me go ahead and add the recycling bin. So let's go ahead and run. There we go. Now it's going to delete my recycling bin. And it should have, if I did everything right, which it looks like I might not have, should have emptied my recycling bin as well. But you could set this up so that way you can run that on a consistent basis, say once a day or once a week, those types of things. So you don't have to manually do it. Remember we talked about scheduling bat files and things like that. You'll also be dealing with task scheduler this week. So now this is actually overall more important for you to do on an SSD than it is on a traditional hard drive if you want to keep those read-write speeds up. Actually, mainly the write speeds. Because as we're filling partial blocks, if you're going to, take a sector or block off your SSD and you need to fill it, well, if it's already half full, the SSD first has to read it, then it has to add the rest of the block of data, then it has to write it again. So it actually, in theory, almost takes twice as long. So that is just something that you might want to do, is actually constantly check your SSD to make sure it's running well and have some free storage there. So you don't want to max it out. I'm just going to go ahead and use the storage usage to clean up my temporary files for myself. I'm not going to delete my downloads yet because I always like to cherry pick those. I traditionally will go in there and delete stuff that's over a month or whatever old because you never know when you're going to need something from that section. So kind of a quick little how-to for starting to do some disk cleanup and some maintenance and to make sure that your disks are all operating correctly. Next video, we're going to continue on with disk defragmentation and optimization. Have a good one.